Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring, this really fascinating concept
Hey.
that you are like the architect of your own reality.
Right.
And we're diving deep into this excerpt
Yeah?
called The Science of Reality, Why Your Thoughts and Beliefs Matter,
Okay.
to kind of see what science has to say about all this.
It's a concept that's gaining a lot of traction, and what's really interesting is that it's not just some philosophical idea. It's
Yeah.
actually grounded in fields like neuroscience and quantum physics.
Okay, so it's not just wishful thinking then.
No, no.
The excerpt actually suggests that our brains are like literally wired
Yeah.
to shape our reality.
Exactly.
Oh.
The excerpt starts by challenging this fundamental assumption we have about time.
Okay.
It suggests that the way we experience the past and the future, well, it might be
Yeah.
more of a construct of our minds than like a fixed reality.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the past, didn't happen?
Okay.
Or that the future won't exist?
It's not that the events themselves don't exist,
Okay.
but rather that our perception of them is fluid.
Okay.
So the excerpt really delves into neuroscience to explain that our memories aren't these static recordings, you know?
Right.
They're actually actively reconstructed
Oh, wow.
each time we access them,
Okay.
meaning they're subject to change
hmm
based on our current thoughts and feelings.
So every time I remember something, my brain is basically like rewriting the script.
In a way, yeah.
That's wild.
Your current emotional state, your beliefs,
Hmm.
even like just your mood,
Right.
can color how you remember past events.
Wow.
This means that changing your mindset in the present
Yeah,
can actually reshape how you view your past and how it affects you.
that's a pretty radical idea.
Yeah.
If I can reframe how I think about a difficult experience from my past,
Uh-huh.
could that actually lessen its impact on me today?
That's exactly what the excerpt suggests.
Mm,
It's about taking ownership of your narrative
okay.
and recognizing that you have the power to heal old wounds
Right.
by changing your perspective in the present.
Okay, so right now.
It also brings up Einstein's theory of relativity,
Okay.
suggesting that time itself isn't this linear, absolute thing.
Huh.
It's relative to the observer.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see how this all connects.
Yeah.
If time is more fluid than we think,
Right.
and our memories are shaped by our present perspective,
Uh-huh.
then maybe this idea that we create our reality isn't so far-fetched after all.
Precisely. And the excerpt takes it even further by diving into quantum physics.
Ooh, now we're getting to the really mind-bending stuff.
Right.
Does this have something to do with the, what is it, the double slit experiment?
Yes. The excerpt uses the double slit experiment to illustrate how observation seems to influence reality at the quantum level.
Okay.
In this experiment, particles act like waves of possibility
Uh-huh.
until they are observed,
Right.
at which point they collapse into a specific state.
So are you saying that just by looking at something, we're
Yeah.
actually influencing its reality?
Yeah. That's one interpretation.
Wow.
The excerpt suggests that consciousness may play a role in shaping reality.
Okay.
It's a concept that some thinkers, like Bashar,
Right.
have taken even further,
Right.
proposing that we're constantly shifting through billions of parallel realities.
Okay, now my head is really spinning.
Yes.
Billions of parallel realities.
It's a lot to take in,
So there's a version of me out there
potentially.
who made all the right choices, won the lottery, and is living my best life.
Well, the excerpt doesn't go as far as saying which possibilities exist,
Okay.
but it emphasizes that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions act like a tuning fork, aligning us with a specific reality that vibrates at the same frequency.
So if I'm constantly dwelling on negative thoughts, I'm basically tuning into a reality that reflects that negativity.
The excerpt uses the analogy of a radio.
Okay.
If you want to listen to a specific station,
Right?
you have to tune your radio to the right frequency. In the same way, if you want to experience a positive reality, you have to align your thoughts and emotions with a positive frequency.
So it's not about ignoring the negative.
Yeah.
It's about consciously shifting our focus to the positive.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we perceive and interact with the world.
This is incredibly empowering. But if our brains are so good at finding evidence for our existing beliefs, even if they're negative, how do we break free from those patterns?
The excerpt delves into this by discussing the brain as a prediction machine,
A prediction machine.
suggesting that it relies on past experiences and beliefs to make sense of the world.
Okay.
This can be helpful for efficiency, but it can also lead to us getting stuck in negative loops.
So if I've had a lot of negative experiences in a particular area of life, like relationships, for example, my brain might automatically expect more negativity in that area,
Yeah.
even if there's potential for something positive.
Precisely. It's like your brain is saying,
Yeah.
based on what I've seen before, this is probably what's going to happen again.
Right.
But the excerpt emphasizes the concept of neuroplasticity,
Okay.
the brain's remarkable ability to change and adapt throughout our lives.
So even if our brains are wired for negativity based on past experiences, we can actually rewire them for positivity.
Absolutely. And the excerpt highlights a technique called emotional freedom techniques,
EFT.
or EFT,
Right.
as a powerful tool for doing just that.
Now we're getting to the practical stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard about EFT, but I'm still not quite sure how it works.
Okay.
Is it like acupuncture?
It's similar in that it involves stimulating specific points on the body.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of needles, EFT uses gentle tapping with your fingertips.
Yeah. Interesting. So how does tapping on these points actually change anything?
EFT combines acupressure with modern psychology.
Okay.
By tapping on specific meridian points while focusing on negative thoughts or beliefs,
Yeah.
you're essentially sending a calming signal to your nervous system, helping your brain to reprocess those thoughts and emotions in a more positive light.
So it's not just about positive thinking then.
No.
It's about physically changing the way our brains respond to stress and negativity.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
The excerpt even shares a compelling story of a woman named Lisa who used EFT to overcome burnout and imposter syndrome.
Oh, wow.
Her story really highlights the transformative power of this technique.
I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about Lisa and how EFT helped her change her reality?
Let's dive into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. We'll be right back with more on Lisa's story and how you can start using EFT to rewire your thinking and create the reality you desire.
Definitely give it a try.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were talking about EFT,
right.
emotional freedom techniques.
Yes.
And how it can help us rewire our brains for a more, positive outlook.
Exactly.
You mentioned a woman named Lisa who used this technique to overcome some pretty significant challenges.
Yes. Lisa's story is a great example of how we can use EFT to really shift our reality.
Okay.
She was this high-achieving corporate executive,
Right.
but despite her outward success,
Yeah.
she struggled with intense burnout and imposter syndrome.
That feeling of not being good enough no matter how much you achieve.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Especially in today's, high-pressure world.
Absolutely. And for Lisa, these feelings were starting to really affect her health and her relationships.
Oh, wow.
She felt trapped in this cycle of overwork and self-doubt.
So how did EFT come into the picture?
Well, Lisa had tried, various methods to cope with her stress and anxiety,
Right.
but nothing seemed to really address the root cause.
Okay.
A friend suggested she try EFT,
Mm-hmm.
and she was initially pretty skeptical,
Yeah, I can imagine.
but she was desperate for a solution,
Right.
so she decided to give it a shot.
And what happened?
The results were pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Through EFT, Lisa was able to identify and address the underlying beliefs that were fueling her burnout and imposter syndrome.
Interesting.
These were beliefs that she had been carrying for years,
Wow.
often stemming from, childhood experiences or societal pressures.
So it's not just about tapping away the stress in the moment.
Right.
It's about uncovering and transforming those deep-seated beliefs that are actually shaping our reality.
Exactly. With EFT, Lisa was able to tap into her inner wisdom and start reframing those beliefs.
Okay.
For example, she realized that her need to constantly prove herself stemmed from a fear of not being loved or accepted.
Oh, wow.
And through EFT, she began to cultivate self-compassion and recognize her inherent worth.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
By addressing those core beliefs, she was able to create this ripple effect of positive change in her life.
Right. As she shifted her internal state,
Yeah.
her external reality began to reflect that change.
Mm-hmm.
Her relationships improved. She felt more confident in her abilities. And she was even able to create a better work-life balance.
That's amazing.
She started attracting new opportunities that aligned with her true passions.
It's like she unlocked a whole new level of potential by clearing out the mental and emotional blocks that were holding her back.
Precisely. And this is what's so exciting about EFT.
Yeah,
It empowers us to become conscious creators of our reality.
I like that.
Gives us tools to break free from limiting beliefs and align with a reality that is more fulfilling and authentic.
This is definitely resonating with me.
Yeah.
I think we've all got those negative beliefs lurking in the background,
Yeah.
shaping our perceptions and holding us back from truly living our best lives.
Hmm.
But you mentioned that EFT involves tapping on specific points on the body.
Right.
Can you explain how that actually works?
Sure. The excerpt explains that EFT combines the principles of acupressure,
Okay.
which focuses on energy meridians in the body,
Right.
with modern psychology.
So we're tapping into these energy meridians while we're focusing on the thoughts and beliefs we want to change.
Exactly. By tapping on specific points, while simultaneously focusing on the issue at hand,
Okay.
we're sending a calming signal to the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that processes fear and stress.
Right.
This helps to reduce the intensity of the emotional charge
Okay.
associated with a negative belief or memory.
So we're not erasing the memory or pretending it didn't happen.
Right.
But we're essentially diffusing the emotional power it holds over us.
Precisely. And as the emotional intensity decreases,
Yeah.
we're able to reprocess the experience from a more objective and empowering perspective.
That makes sense, but there are so many acupressure points.
Yeah.
Are there specific ones that are used in EFT?
Yes, the EFT tapping sequence typically involves tapping on about 9 specific points
Okay.
on the face, head, and upper body.
Right.
The excerpt actually provides a script that walks the listener through the sequence,
Oh, cool.
combining tapping with affirmations that help to reframe negative beliefs and shift into a more positive state of being.
That sounds incredibly helpful.
It is.
Could you walk us through a few points from the script so our listeners can get a sense of how it works?
Absolutely. Let's start with the karate chop point,
Okay.
which is located on the fleshy side of your hand, just below your pinky finger.
Got it.
As you tap on this point with the fingertips of your other hand,
Mm-hmm.
you would repeat a phrase that acknowledges the issue you want to address,
Okay.
while also affirming your intention to shift it.
Okay.
For example, you might say something like, "Even though I feel anxious about public speaking, I deeply and completely love and accept myself."
So you're acknowledging the fear or anxiety,
Yeah.
but you're also infusing it with self-love and acceptance.
Right. The next point you would tap on is the eyebrow point,
Okay.
which is located at the inner edge of your eyebrow, right above
Yeah.
your nose. Here, you might tap while saying something like, "I release all limiting beliefs that are holding me back from confidently expressing myself."
It's like you're speaking directly to your subconscious mind, replacing those old patterns with new, empowering beliefs.
Exactly. And we would continue in this way,
Okay.
tapping on each point while using affirmations that resonate with the specific issue you're working on.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, it's a powerful technique.
It sounds like EFT offers a very practical and accessible way to reprogram our thinking and create a more positive reality.
It really does. And the beauty of it is that you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a portable toolkit for emotional well-being and personal transformation.
I'm definitely going to give this a try.
Yeah, I encourage you to.
Is there anything else our listeners should know about EFT before we move on?
It's important to remember that EFT is a self-help technique,
Okay.
and it's not a substitute for professional medical or mental health care. If you're struggling with serious emotional or psychological issues, it's always best to seek guidance from a qualified practitioner.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So while EFT can be a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation, it's important to use it responsibly and seek professional support when needed.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Right.
We've explored the mind-bending concepts of time and quantum physics,
Yeah.
the brain as a prediction machine,
Uh-huh.
and the power of EFT to rewire our thinking.
It's a lot to take in.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, where do we go from here?
I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
If we're truly creating our own reality, how do we make sense of the very real suffering and challenges that exist in the world?
Right.
How do we reconcile personal responsibility with the fact that some things are simply outside of our control?
That's a great question, and one that I'm sure many of our listeners are pondering right now. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring this, empowering idea that we are the architects of our own reality.
Right.
But like we just touched on before, it's important to acknowledge that, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
True.
So how do we reconcile this idea of personal responsibility for our reality
Right.
with the, very real pain and suffering that exists in the world?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
And it's one that often comes up when we start exploring these concepts.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that acknowledging our power to shape our reality doesn't negate the existence of external circumstances or diminish the suffering of others.
So it's not about like blaming people for their misfortunes
Right.
or saying that they've somehow manifested their problems.
Absolutely not. Life can be incredibly challenging.
Right.
And we all face situations that are beyond our control.
Yeah.
Traumatic events, accidents, natural disasters,
Uh,
systemic injustices.
mm,
These are realities that people experience.
mm,
And it would be insensitive and inaccurate to suggest that they've simply created these circumstances through their thoughts.
right. It's important to acknowledge that while we have a certain degree of agency in shaping our experiences, there are also external forces at play that we can't always control.
Absolutely.
So if that's the case, what does it really mean to take responsibility for our reality?
It's about recognizing that even within those challenging circumstances, we still have a choice in how we respond.
Okay.
It's about focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions,
Right.
and trusting that those choices will ultimately shape our experience of those circumstances.
So even if we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we react to it.
Exactly. Viktor Frankl,
Oh, yeah.
a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust,
Right.
wrote a powerful book called Man's Search for Meaning.
I've heard of that.
And in it, he talks about how even in the most horrific circumstances, the prisoners still had the freedom to choose their attitude,
Wow.
their outlook,
Okay.
and their response to their suffering.
That's a powerful example. It suggests that even in the face of, unimaginable hardship,
Yeah.
we still have the power to find meaning, purpose,
Right.
and even hope.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not about denying the reality of the situation,
Right.
but about finding the strength and resilience to navigate it in a way that preserves our humanity and allows us to grow through the experience.
This brings us back to EFT. It seems like EFT could be a really valuable tool
Oh,
for
absolutely.
helping people to process difficult experiences and cultivate that resilience you're talking about.
Absolutely. EFT can be incredibly helpful in processing trauma, managing stress and anxiety, and reframing negative beliefs that might be holding us back from experiencing peace and well-being.
Right.
It's about empowering ourselves to become active participants in our healing journey,
Yeah.
rather than feeling like victims of our circumstances.
While we may not be able to control everything that happens to us, right, EFT gives us tools to regulate our emotional responses, reframe our perspectives, and ultimately create a more empowered experience of reality, even in the face of adversity.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we have more inner strength and resilience than we often realize.
This has been such an insightful and thought-provoking exploration.
It really has.
As we wrap up this deep dive, is there a final takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Remember, you are not just a product of your past or a victim of your circumstances.
Okay.
You have the power to choose your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions.
Right.
And in doing so, you shape your reality.
I love that.
Embrace that power, cultivate your inner resilience, and never stop exploring the incredible potential that lies within you.
Beautifully said. And if you're feeling inspired to dive deeper into the concepts we've discussed today, the excerpt we explored, The Science of Reality, is a great place to start. We'll be sure to include a link in the show notes.
Great idea.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploration.
It's been my pleasure.
And as always, keep diving deep. My friends, the universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered.